study in Canada. I've been asked by many people to make this video. Many people want to know about education policy, education opportunities, ways to go to study in Canada, and what happens once you graduate from your studies. Are you able to adjust and become resident over there? So this video is going to cover the following aspect. Number one, I will talk about getting the opportunities to study in Canada as a fully funded student, international student, to get scholarships. That will be aspect number one of this video. Aspect number two of this video, I'm going to explain for people who want to go to study in Canada as self-financing students. That means they are going to cover their own tuition, fees, and living expenses. And on that particular note, I will go further to convince you, to explain to you, if you want to go as self-financing student, why you should go to specifically to go to Canada and not other countries. Because Canada is a prime country, has more to offer than US, United Kingdom, and most of European countries. And in the end, I'll talk about the work authorizations, being allowed to work while you are a student, and after finishing studies, what are the requirements or what are the opportunities of working, having the work permit post-studies. And in the last part, I'll be talking about how you can adjust or change your status from international student, finishing, get work permit, finishing, becoming a permanent resident of Canada, and why it is easier in Canada and not any other country in the world. Obviously, it is easier in Australia and New Zealand, and a little bit now UK have changed a little bit certain regulations, but why is it difficult in America? That means it is easier for you to go to Canada. It is worth to pay school fees on your own to go to Canada than paying for tuition and fees to come to study in the US. Welcome everyone. Sorry for the long introduction, but this is your guy, EBMSCHOLARS, and I welcome you to my YouTube channel, which is the headquarters of opportunities, and I'm talking from my home office here in Belton, Missouri, United States of America. So, disclaimer, I've never been to Canada. I've never studied in Canada, but I know a lot about education opportunities, scholarships, be in Canada, US, New Zealand, Australia, and Europe. Those are the areas of my expertise, and I've been doing this explanation I'm giving to you for over 13 years so far about talking scholarships and how you can advise someone as international students to go to another country and get education and succeed in that particular country. So, Canada, being the first world country, just like in US, just like in UK, or most of the countries in Europe, or Australia and New Zealand, Canada has a lot of scholarship opportunities available for international students. But you have to be very careful on that. Number one, 99% of these scholarships, there are, I say 90%, 98, 99, a lot of these scholarships are for graduate studies, masters, PhD, or doctorate, and postdoctoral studies. Very few are for bachelor's or undergraduate studies. I have some friends of mine studied at the Carleton University in Canada, has a lot of undergraduate opportunities too in that university. But majority of the universities offer scholarships. These scholarships can be given by the government. There are government scholarships, just like in the US, we have Fulbright as a government. When you go to Germany, they have DAD. If you go to England, they have Chevening. So even in Canada, they have the government fully funded scholarships for international students. In this video, if you watch this video through my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/EBMSCHOLARS, in the description of this video, I'm going to post a link of all scholarships for full funded programs to study in Canada. so you can be able to see these opportunities. So if you watch this video on Instagram or on other stream or other way, please make sure that you go to my youtube.com/EBMSCHOLARS to check this video and the links which will be posted there. And the same video also will be posted on my website, which is a scholarship website, which is called the EBMSCHOLARShips.com. So, in a very high level, in order to apply for Masters and PhD in Canada, number one, you have to know that you have to take the English proficiency test, either test of English as a foreign language 12, or you have to take the International English Language Testing System IELTS exam. You have to take one of those exams. Almost all of the programs, they will require you to take the English proficiency test. Secondly, the good thing about Canada, they don't have extra exam like in the United States, where in the US we have GRE, GMAT, MCAT, LSAT, all those kind of exams for graduate studies, and for undergrad there is ACT, SAT, all those exams. But in Canada they don't have any extra exam. So for that particular case, you will save extra money and extra preparation will be reduced compared to the US. But in Canada, you have to pay for the application fees for the university you are applying. So that is something, whether you are applying for the scholarship, whether you are applying for directly to apply as a self-financing student, you have to take the English proficiency, and also you have to pay for the application fees. But it is worth it. Most of the Canada application fees are between $50 to $100 depending on the universities. If you are applying for the PhD in Canada, most of the universities, they are doing the PhD by coursework and dissertation, just like in the United States. Different from Europe, where the PhD is mainly done through thesis. Meaning when you are applying, most of the universities in Europe, you apply through a supervisor. In Canada, which is the same as in the US, 99% of these programs for doctorate, you apply direct to the university because you are planning to do a coursework. There are few professors, they might have a special assignment. They can announce, I want someone to apply to me for this particular program because I want you to be able to do this kind of assignment as assistantship. There are those kind of studentship or assistantship in particular. So that particular case you apply to the particular professor. But majority you apply maybe University of Toronto, you apply Vancouver, direct you apply to the university. So apart from those particular exceptions, the other requirements are the same in any scholarships. You must have a very good GPA. In most cases, upper secondary class. You must also have recommendation letters, statement of purpose. Even if you know for sure you are planning to go to Canada and your end result is to stay in Canada, in the statement of purpose you have to indicate that you are planning to come back to your country and what are you going to do upon returning to your home country. Deep down your planning will be, you can be able to adjust legally, but don't mention this is my official or my main intention to come to Canada is to do 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not a good idea, because most of the scholarships are for the reason that you have to go back to your home country. Even if Canada is more welcoming to have merit-based immigration, when you go to the visa, you don't say, oh, you know, I'm going to pay all this money to go to study Masters or PhD in Canada. When I finish, I'm going to stay there. No, don't mention that. You have to show that you are interested to come back to your home country first. And what are you going to do to see that you are going to be positive? But while you are there, yes, there are opportunities of you to adjust, change your immigration status, which are the legal ways. But those who don't need to disclose, to go and show off at the interview at the Canadian consulate or Canadian embassy, wherever they are, to do that. So remember, most of the applications are starting in August until December. Some universities are in November. But make sure that there are few that go up to January. But I'm making this video early so that you can know when to expect. This is the time for you to get ready to apply. Go and take the English proficiency test. I know there are some of the universities, they might give exception for you to go to study there without taking the English test because of the COVID and other reasons. But don't wait for this kind of loophole, waiver, sympathy. Get ready, make sure that you go and take the test if you are capable of doing the test. You have to make sure that you take the test. Is expensive. TOEFL is about 220. The IELTS is about 320. So it's expensive depending which one you are going to take the exam. So if you want to go as self-financing student, as international student, you want to pay for your own, I advise you not to spend your money in US, or to spend money in UK, or to spend your money in Germany, or to spend your money in other countries. Focus to pay your education in Canada. Why am I saying that way? If you are a father, you want your child to go to Canada to study bachelor degree. If you are on your own, you want to finance yourself, Canada is a prime destination because of the immigration regulations. Unlike other countries, if you go to UK, you go to other European countries, you come to the US, international students, you are allowed to work 20 hours per week. The same as in Canada. You are allowed to work 20 hours per week. But in US, you have to work on campus. Until the school is closed during the holiday time, you can work off campus full time. In most of the European countries, you can work even off campus during the school year, but 20 hours per week. Unless otherwise the school is closed, you can work full time. The purpose is for you to concentrate as a student full time. But in Canada, international student, you are also allowed to work 20 hours per week on campus, or to work 20 hours per week, which is part-time. But if you have dependent, meaning dependent, I mean you are married, the wife is the student, the husband will be given the work permit to work in Canada full-time to any employer. That is something different from US. If you are in the US, you are the husband, you are studying at the University of Wisconsin, Madison, or you are studying at UCLA, or University of San Diego, or Chicago, you are fully, whether you get a scholarship, the scholarship doesn't cover for your children and your spouse. If your spouse is coming here, your spouse is dependent, is not allowed to work. You have to know that. Your spouse in the US is not allowed to work. In most of European countries, also you are dependent, your spouse is not allowed to work. But in Canada, you are allowed. So if let's say, you are husband and wife, maybe you are brand new married couple, you can go to Canada. One is going to be a student. Yes, you can pay maybe, let's say, school fees, maybe it's 15,000 per year. I'm giving you an example. You can figure out to get the bank statement, whatever. But while you are there, you will be able to sustain the life because wife is working full time. If wife is working full time, wife can make 4,000 per month as a full time. And you working as part time, let's say $14 per hour or $15 per hour, you can make 2,000. So husband and wife, you can make 6,000 or 5,000. So per year, both of you can make over 60,000 per year, and life can continue. So because you are allowed to work in Canada, that can help you a lot, especially if you are a couple. And again, let's say you are studying bachelor degree, is 4 years, or you are studying master's 2 years, you are studying PhD 3 or 4 or 5 years. So in the US, for instance, if you finish your studies, you are given 1 year post-study work permit, which we call OPT, optional practical training. But if you are in the science and technology programs, you are given a year and a half, which is 18 months. In the United Kingdom, they just passed on July 1st, international students to be allowed, if you do masters, to be allowed to work for 2 years, and the PhD you're allowed to work for 3 years. In most of the European countries, just 1 year. But in Canada, if you do bachelor degree for 4 years, you'll be given a work permit of 4 years. If you do masters for 1 year, you'll do a 1 year work permit. So that's why you don't need to take a program of less years. So if you're going for masters, find a 2 years masters program, which are majority of the programs. So you'll be given work permit of 2 years. If you do PhD for 4 years, you'll be given 4 years of work permit after studying what they call post-education work permit or post-study work permit. And the good part is this one. While your spouse, let's say your spouse has a bachelor degree or your spouse has a master's degree, and while you are studying, let's say you are studying master's PhD 4 years, that means your wife will be working full-time. After 2 years of working full-time, your wife can apply for what is called the Express Entry Program to go and get a permanent resident of Canada. And once it's get the permanent worker of Canada, you'll also be given the permanent resident of Canada, because your wife has bachelor degree or master's education already, has a work permit of Canada, full-time work permit of Canada. Speak English, and maybe you are not 60 years old, you are 50 or 45, which is a good age. So all these kind of points in Canada, they have what they call the merit-based immigration or the point-based system. And even yourself, let's say even if you are not married, yourself, you are single. If you finish your studies, let's say you have 4 years of work permit, plus the part-time you had, and while you have 4 years or 3 years of work permit, you'll be allowed, after that work experience, you'll be allowed to apply for the express entry. And also they have a special immigration path for the international students after finishing studies and work to apply to become permanent resident of Canada. So in other words, it is worth your money if you plan in the end to get more work experience or to become permanent resident of Canada, to go to Canada than coming to US. If you come to study in the US, there is no a transition in that because you have bachelor degree or master's degree or PhD in America, you can apply for this program and become a permanent resident. It is until you get a job and the employer sponsors you. But in Canada, you don't need a sponsorship to apply for permanent resident. If you're already an international student, you graduated, you have work permit, you are working already in Canada. You don't need those kind of sponsorship. So in Canada, they have so much immigration path towards the permanent residence for international students than in the US or in other European countries. So for that particular case, I encourage you, if you want to go as self-financing, is to go to Canada. That's number one. But if you get 2 scholarships between the US and Canada or Norway and Canada, Canada is a good destination if you plan to stay in that particular country. But if you are planning, let's say for the university-wise, sometimes you look at certain type of jobs, US can be a good way because maybe you have thousands and thousands of universities, and let's say you are doing PhD and you want to stay in the US, versus in Canada, maybe you can say maybe in Canada there are fewer universities compared to the US. US is just like a continent with thousands and thousands. Than in Canada, you can find maybe there are very few universities, less than 100 or something number of universities. But in US, there are so much opportunities. If you look for that particular angle, yes, you might stay here. But if you're looking first for the guarantee of having a permanent residence and work permit which is sustainable without breaking any law, Canada is a very good destination. So for that particular case, I'm going to put the links of these scholarships in Canada, but also the big universities where you can see the cost of studying in Canada. I'll put some of the costs of this one in links in the link below so that you can compare if you want to study in Canada or other countries. So while your people are looking, oh, my dream is in America, think about Canada, how Canada can offer you immigration opportunities than US or other countries. President Trump last year was planning to change to end immigration in terms of the green card lottery and to introduce the exactly copycat of the Canadian immigration, which is a merit-based immigration to the United States, which is Canada, Australia, New Zealand. They have the merit-based immigration, which could give so much people. The current US immigration is more the family-based. Apart from the lottery, that means I can bring relatives a lot. But if you have degrees, you cannot just apply into the system, or I'm just coming in America direct to get a green card just with my experience, or I'm doctorate from the University of Dar es Salaam, or I'm senior professor, or full professor from the Kenyatta University, or Kuala Lumpur, wherever university you are coming from. You cannot have those opportunities. You can get H1 visa, which is still very restrictive and very difficult to get still. So think about Canada, think about studying there, think about immigration there. And life in Canada is more or less the same like the life in the US or any other developed world. So think about that. take action, apply, and go to Canada. All the best, everyone. This is EBM. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.